Your meniscus is a rubbery shock absorber in your knees. It tears with forceful twisting motions. Let's look at a 360 dunk in basketball. But what we see is that your knee doesn't have twisty muscles. We have muscles that go up and down to stabilize the knee. So in Knee Ability Zero, we start each session with a 10-minute backward walk. What are we doing? We're just getting stronger in that position with our knees over our toes. The trick of this becomes, as we go into dense, as we start adding load with the sled, trying to go for 5 minutes continuous, ramping up just like you would a weight exercise, starting at a light intensity, and by the end we're going like to tap out in terms of intensity by the end of the 5 minutes. Are we still strengthening our knees, or are we sitting back against it and avoiding our knees? By filming from a side angle, we're able to determine this. Anyone can. It's a very measurable thing. If you're dragging sled with a form, that's going to be improving your shock absorbers. So there is my simplistic viewpoint on the practical side, the simple side that there's just no arguing. This is just how gravity works. Now on the medical side, Dr. Q is going to take it over and give you the latest research.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? We've had a lot of questions about the meniscus and maybe some other abnormal knee findings, and we're going to cover some things today. Just keep in mind, this is not direct medical advice of what you should or should not do, but here's some things that I think would be helpful for you to think about if you're wanting to move forward. So a recent study investigated the ability of orthopedic surgeons to predict long-term outcomes after meniscectomy or not getting meniscectomy. Turns out the reliability of being able to predict these outcomes are no better than flipping a coin or rolling a dice. Now, that kind of sounds scary, and it's not because they have any kind of bad intentions. It's simply that the human body is very complex. We have an ability to adapt to a number of things, and to say that your MRI is a direct correlation to your pain or to the type of function you will have, it's just not possible. Keep that in mind. Something else to maybe keep in mind is that there's a very high prevalence of abnormal findings in people with no knee pain whatsoever, very high functioning individuals. This ranges from athletes, middle-aged adults, all the way into the elderly, where studies are finding, taking people off the street, healthy volunteers with no pain, no issues, who are high functioning, that they'll have partial ACL ruptures, partial PCL ruptures, partial meniscus tears, meniscus degeneration. They'll have undiagnosed osteoarthritis and bone marrow edema. Turns out a lot of that stuff is not indicative of the type of function or pain that the individual will be experiencing. Some other things to keep in mind is a recent study that investigated those getting meniscectomy versus a sham surgery, where they just stuck the arthroscope into the knee joint but didn't actually remove any of the torn meniscus. That over the long term, neither group had any differences, and in fact the sham surgery people did maybe slightly better in 2 and 5 year follow-up. So just something to keep in mind. Now feel free to message myself in the comments section or DM me. I'll look through those. That just helps us fuel the fire of what we should be talking about in the future episodes. And also feel free to check out the studies below. Every once in a while I'll hope to be posting some summaries of some of the studies here and others as we go forward. So anyways, thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time.